Without any further ado, I'm going to introduce Executive Director Karl Koster of MIT's Corporate Relations. That is the executive sponsor of this event. I wanted very briefly to thank, obviously, Samsung, a member of that program, for graciously hosting in this wonderful space. Other than that, I'll be your MC today. I'm quite involved in the Startup Exchange program, but I will let Karl Koster explain why we are here, what this initiative is, and where it comes from.
As Trond mentioned, I'm the Director of Corporate Relations at MIT. That includes our Industrial Liaison Program, which is a 230 member company organization that links the large corporates with the MIT faculty. But what we've seen over recent years is a great interest on the large corporates, not only to access MIT research, but also to the spin-outs that come out of MIT. And I want to talk a little bit about that today before turning over So MIT, for those of you who don't know, is a research university doing about $700 million worth of research each year. About 20% of that comes from corporate sources, making that the largest absolute amount of corporate-sponsored research of any university in the country. That includes Stanford and Berkeley and others. As a result, and again because of our strong engineering and science focus, we're seeing a lot of spin-outs. So MIT spins out between 50 and 100 new companies each year. About 25 of those have MIT IP associated, but the others are just formed by our alumni, faculty, and others, and may not have any IP at all. But it's on the order of actually 80 to 100 per year. So what we decided to do in the ILP was, can't we play a role to link the large corporates with some of these MIT spin-out companies, accelerate the movement of this invention into the commercial space in a way that makes sense for both. So we'd act as sort of a platform just to make the introductions, and they can go where they are. And one of the things I was telling Brendan that we've discovered is a lot of the MIT spin-off companies have great talent and great technology, but they're not as aware of what the market pull is. And this is where the large corporates are able to have a big impact in influencing product development and other strategies for small companies, leaving aside any interest in actually investing. So let me shoot. This is just an example of some of the areas of great interdisciplinary research at MIT. We have a major energy initiative that's funded about $500 million. The current Secretary of Energy of the U.S. under Obama, Ernie Moniz, was the former head of our Department of Physics. We have a new initiative on innovation that we're part of, which again is how do we accelerate the inventions of MIT into the commercial space, and there's a lot of work there. Environmental Solutions Initiative is looking particularly at food and water, advanced technologies and from desalination to other water resources, sensors to understand food, water. Big data, of course, is a big area for MIT. Digital world, we've partnered with Harvard on edX and MITx platform. And healthcare, I think the Boston area is becoming very much the focus, the world focus in biotech and biopharma. The MIT campus is in red, and you can see there's just a huge clustering of companies, major corporate labs, and others right around the MIT campus. Interestingly, on the way over, I saw this, I don't know how much credit to give it, but the Bloomberg Innovation Index, which listed Massachusetts as the most innovative state in the United States, barely beating out California. So we're very pleased with that. I think what it says, though, is there's a tremendous amount of innovation happening on the East Coast as well as here on the West Coast, and we're proud at MIT to be a part of that. This is just an example of the stakeholders in innovation ecosystems. I'll just call your attention to the middle. We have over 180 global corporate labs and offices that are in the Cambridge, greater Boston area, and that's increasing. This is just a little puff piece that you probably read that General Electric is moving their world headquarters from Stamford, Connecticut to Boston area. That was just announced earlier this month. Philips Healthcare moved their Briarcliff, New York, North American research headquarters to the Kendall Square area in Cambridge earlier this year and signed a major partnership agreement with MIT in the area of lighting and IT related to healthcare. And we've had major corporates like Novartis who moved their research headquarters from Basel, Switzerland some years ago to the Cambridge area as well. And this is just a slide that shows some of the, I just, in fact, came back from Japan where we had our 18th annual symposium in Tokyo. And we're seeing a tremendous amount of interest on the part of Japanese companies in particular to locate some of their offices in the Boston area. So I'll leave it there. I think I've covered everything I want to. Again, I'll just repeat that this is a bit of an experiment. Trond will talk about the specifics of the Startup Exchange platform that the ILP has launched. I'd love your feedback to see if this is the kind of thing that can generate interest on the part of West Coast companies to engage more with MIT. And I may just say parenthetically, we have wonderful relationships with Stanford and Berkeley and the other universities out in this area. So Trond, I'll give it to you.
Thank you, Karl.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right, I'll just kick it off with a couple of little information nuggets here about the startups that we are bringing here. We didn't have more than one airplane chartered, so we didn't bring all of them, but we have about 1,100 startups now that we're actively working with, connecting to our corporate membership. That is by no stretch of imagination representative, I think, of the entire startup population around the MIT ecosystem, but it is a beginning. We have only really been in operation for about a year. As you can see, these startups cross a lot of different technology clusters. ICT, healthcare, advanced manufacturing, biotech, energy tech, nanotech, which is growing. Although there's a interesting story there, a lot of startups are actually using nanotech, but they're calling themselves other things because somehow that term went out of, I don't know, it went out of fashion for a little while. Interesting tidbit there is that MIT is building one of the largest nanotech facilities in the world, so my prediction is that term is going to come back in fashion. Hybrid innovation is one of the things we're really proud of at MIT. Olden days, one lab, one technology, a lot of startup activity. New reality is combinations of technologies, hardware, software, old, new technology integrated. This is where MIT really excels hybrid innovation. As Karl mentioned, in last year we had 77 new startups that we know about. I am sure that the number is far larger if you include all of our alumni startup activity. It's actually very hard to track. Once you leave campus, you have left. No one sends an email or a letter back and says, here's my wonderful startup. We are trying to change that. That's partly why we're here. Today, we are bringing you startups from advanced manufacturing, big data analytics, and health breakthroughs, largely. So we'll hear more about that. These are some of the startups we have here. And by the way, you will have noticed that there are some breakout rooms here. 6 of the startups can be met through these breakout rooms in the breaks. And you can also book meetings with them. I know that some of them are actually already fully booked. This was available before the event. But we'll see as we move along. So I'm going to introduce Jeff Karp here, who is one of our wonderful academic innovator keynotes, who's going to give a presentation to us about where he sees innovation going. He has a joint position with one of the large hospitals in Boston, with Harvard University, and with MIT. Jeff Karp, without any further ado, let me introduce you, and then we'll take it from there.